We know that there are rapists in Britain, right? Already here. You've described them as homegrown rapists before. That is very different. The homegrown rapist, that's almost a juxtaposition. It doesn't make any sense as a term of condemnation, right?
Yes, of course it does. Any rapist is condemned by me. I was a criminal prosecutor and I'm a mother of daughters and I'm a woman myself. Of course they are. Don't put words into my mouth. But we have homegrown rapists. That does not excuse us importing more and putting them in towns and villages. I'm sorry, I'm not going to back down from that position, and I think you'll find most of the British public completely disagree with you. And if that certain rapist that I mentioned happened to be Ethiopian, then yes, I'm not going to shy away from saying that he was Ethiopian, because that's what happened with the Pakistani rape gangs. People didn't want to say where they were from, and it was they were proliferated.
Yes, but you're applying it to a wide group. When
no, I'm applying it to illegal migrants who are allowed into this country. That is not a wide group, that is a specific group.
But it's not all illegal migrants.
How do you know? Are they vetted? How do you know?
Because we know that we're talking about instances.
How do you know that every man crossing on that boat is not a rapist or a terrorist? We know that one was a convicted terrorist.
But just to be clear, you don't know.
No, I don't know, but I'm not going to give them the benefit of the doubt.
Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Thanks very much for joining us again. And can I just thank anybody who was recently subscribed? Can I thank you? And if you've liked a video recently, that's much appreciated. It helps the algorithm, and I can only thank you. So thanks very much. I got a great video today. I've been watching Reform and watching the people that Reform have been bringing in to the fold. And I think one of the rising stars, has got to be Laila Cunningham. She's very, very sharp. She's obviously got a lot of experience with being a magistrate herself, a former magistrate. She's got, I think, 5 daughters, so she's concerned about certain things that are happening in the country because of her own family. And she obviously got involved at one point and got called vigilante mum for chasing down somebody who'd mugged her, I think mugged her or mugged one of her daughters, and she chased after him because the police were just useless, and she went and got them herself. But she has been absolutely brilliant on TV. She really does kick ass, and she's very, very eloquent. She's very sharp, very quick of thought, and obviously they try to catch her out, but she's very difficult to really obviously for stations like the BBC and things like that, other woke stations to attack, because she's a Muslim as well, and she's a woman, so it really confuses the BBC. They don't really know how to approach her and how to attack her, but she's got some very forthright views. She's got it's all common sense views, definitely common sense views, and she's very, very tuned into the nation, I think, at the moment. Knows that we've got a problem. Britain is broken, there's no doubt about it. And it's not unfair to say our immigration system is broken. We cannot just continue doing what we're doing. We're bankrupt, we've got no money, and yet we're shipping in more and more people that we can't afford. And the bill per annum now is up to 15 billion for the whole operation, and contracts have been signed for years to come. It's almost like locked in, the spending and the whole immigration system, illegal immigration scam that we've got going at the moment. And I just thought this was a really great piece. It was on Newsnight, and this was actually a presenter I've not seen before on Newsnight, really trying to take on Laila Cunningham and basically calling her a racist, and that she shouldn't pigeonhole all immigrants, which is the argument they always go with. Yes, of course, nobody's saying every immigrant is bad, but the illegal immigrants that are coming here all throw all their identification in the water before they get here, which is not a good thing to start with. They're illegal to start with, even though Labour have changed the word to irregular. They're illegal to start with, so they've broken the law to start with. It's not a great start, is it? We don't know who they are. We've no idea who they are, and they're now dotted around all over the country in 3- and 4-star hotels. And also, they are now obviously getting distributed around HMOs, brand new HMOs. Some have got some wonderful flats now they've been given, which they're never going to pay for. They're never going to be they're never going to be forced to get a job. So they've got basically a free house, on the beleaguered taxpayer. And, I don't see why, if anybody's watching this that knows me, I don't see why that you'd be angry with what I'm saying. We can't afford it. Without anything else, without going down any other route or anything about anything to do with, whether we should, the cultural side of it and things like that, and whether we should be allowing it, and the English culture is disappearing, and none of that. We just simply can't afford it. 15 billion a year, and yet the Chancellor keeps saying we've got a 22 billion black hole and now a 50 billion black hole. Well, why would you keep bringing all these people in or allowing it? Just purely because you're frightened to death of international law, which doesn't even hold up in court, or because we are a soft power and we've got to keep being a soft power, and so we can't stop this because it would make our standing in the world look bad, Well, going bankrupt's going to make us look a lot worse, don't you think? Anyway, I've gone on again. It really makes me angry. It boils my piss, as they say. But anyway, let's have a look at this clip because it's really good. She's excellent and puts the BBC in their place, kicks their ass basically. Here we go. Let's have a look.
Reform is operating with a populist strategy, which essentially to me translates as say the most popular thing, which is often the simplest thing to very nuanced debates, get people on side and then iron through the creases once it's already too late. Now, I would love to ask both of you about, especially you, Leila. So whenever I see you on screen, it's a very weaponized politics. It's about identifying an enemy. If we get X group out, then we will no longer have problems.
What enemy have I identified?
Okay, so talk to me about immigration. So when I have seen you talking about clips where we're hearing the word Ethiopians and racist, and we're tarring
you heard me say the word Ethiopian and racist?
Yes.
When did you hear me say that?
Rapists.
Rapists, yes, because there have been illegal migrants have been allowed into this country that have gone on to sexually assault girls.
Correct.
Do you condone that?
Why are we tarring the entire Ethiopians? We've just spent the top half of this...
Because it was... Hang on. I'm sorry. But when you allow people, unvetted men, into our country who you have no idea who their history is, and you put them in a town and village, and you subject them to young girls who are walking in the streets and they end up raping a girl or sexually assaulting a girl, of course I'm going to call it out.
Listen, why is it not enough?
Would you not think it's right to call it out?
Why is it not enough to say, let's take measures on immigration? The minute you start
We are taking measures on immigration.
The minute you start referencing specific groups, the association in people's minds is, if I encounter an Ethiopian, this is now the person we're talking about. We just spent the whole top of the show talking about Prince Andrew, and yet I've never heard you say abolish the royals. You can treat it as a case study. So what I'm saying to you is...
The royals are part of Britain. We are importing rapists and terrorists into this country through our open borders. You cannot deny that. How many rapes is too much for you to say it's not okay? How many rapes would you accept?
This is my question to you, right? We are talking about instances. We know that there are rapists in Britain, right? Already here. You've described them as homegrown rapists before. That is very different. The homegrown rapist, that's almost a juxtaposition. It doesn't make any sense as a term of condemnation, right?
Yes, of course it does. Any rapist is condemned by me. I was a criminal prosecutor and I'm a mother of daughters and I'm a woman myself. Of course they are. Don't put words into my mouth. But we have homegrown rapists. That does not excuse us importing more and putting them in towns and villages. I'm sorry, I'm not going to back down from that position, and I think you'll find most of the British public completely disagree with you. And if that certain rapist that I mentioned happened to be Ethiopian, then yes, I'm not going to shy away from saying that he was Ethiopian, because that's what happened with the Pakistani rape gangs. People didn't want to say where they were from, and it was they were proliferated.
Yes, but you're applying it to a wide group. When
no, I'm applying it to illegal migrants who are allowed into this country. That is not a wide group, that is a specific group.
But it's not all illegal migrants.
How do you know? Are they vetted? How do you know?
Because we know that we're talking about instances.
How do you know that every man crossing on that boat is not a rapist or a terrorist? We know that one was a convicted terrorist.
Just to be clear, you don't know.
No, I don't know, but I'm not going to give them the benefit of the doubt because they have thrown their passports, they've entered this country illegally, so I will treat them as criminals, yes.
Let me bring that.
So there we go. What a great bit. What a great piece. She just does not give us stuff, and it's all common sense. It's all common sense. The BBC must have been really panicking in the control room there, because they don't like to hear a lot of those words she said. So they must have been really tearing their hair out. But once they're on there live, there's nothing you can do about it, I guess. But she was amazing, and I've seen her in numerous other interviews. And you know, she's not a racist. She's a Muslim. You know, she just understands that you can't carry on like this. You know, how can we carry on like this? And now we're seeing things happening, aren't we? More and more, day by day. You know, we've got to a point now where the system is so overloaded, you know, across the country. And I saw them celebrating the other day because there's been no boats crossing the channel for 11 days. But we've had the worst weather we've had for months and months. They think it's some sort of success of the one-in, one-out system, but it's clearly the weather that's caused it. And as soon as we get some good weather, we're going to be back to where we were again, 1,000 arriving every week, you know. And, you know, I don't blame them, because they're basically economic. They're not asylum seekers. They're economic migrants, and who can blame them? Because if there was a better country, which at this moment is questionable about this country, but if there was a country where you could go and get some free money and a free house and a free phone and free medical care, you'd try and go to it. If you're living in absolute squalor in a terrible country, you know, with no services and no infrastructure, you'd definitely, if you could afford it, you'd definitely try and go there, you know. But we can't afford it. How long does it continue? Do we want another 10 million to come in? Do we want another 20 million? 30 million? Where does it end? Where does it end? We're a tiny island. We haven't got enough houses. Before this started, we didn't have enough houses. And now we definitely haven't got enough houses. And we've got Labour say they're going to build 1.5 million. Well, how many have they started building up to now? 0. So that isn't not going to happen. They're never going to build anywhere near 1.5 million, you know? And so it's great and refreshing to hear somebody calling them out and saying it how it is. And, you know, God, I hope she carries on doing it. And I hope Nigel doesn't get cold feet with her going out there and doing what she's doing and saying what she's saying. You know, she's got a lot of behind her, a lot of experience behind her in the law. So she knows what she can and can't say, and she knows what's true and what isn't true. And she knows the people she's seen come through the courts, because she's seen them herself. So anyway, I just thought that was a really good piece, and it's great to see somebody who's not cowed by the woke BBC, you know, and is saying it how it is. It was great to see. Anyway, thanks very much for your time, much appreciated. If you can like the video, that'd be excellent. And if you can subscribe, you know, that really helps us, helps the channel to keep it going. And if you can check out some of the links we've got some great new political based products in the description. We've got some great books, Douglas Murray and Boris Johnson and various other things, some great anti-woke products as well. We've got some mugs and t-shirts and things. If you can check those out, that'd be great. And I will see you on the next one.